Newcastle are going for it. They have submitted apparently an €82 million bid for Kvaratskhelia, Cravadonna, the hero of Naples that returned the Scudetto back to Napoli last season, and he has got to be the hottest property in the European transfer window. And it's all went quiet on the Western Front. It looked like no one was going to match the price tag that Lorenzo De Laurentiis, or whatever that guy's name is that runs Napoli, had set so high on Cravadonna's head. Napoli are going into the Champions League as Scudetto champions, as the champions of Italy, and they want to hold on to Osimhen, they want to hold on to Kvaratskhelia. But the Toonami have signed Tonali. You loved that video that we did last time. I'll get to your comments on that at the end of this video. And they are putting their strongest foot forward again by submitting this bid for Cravadonna. And there's a couple other bids for the likes of Harvey Barnes and Axel Disasi that is seeing Newcastle slowly move the pieces across the board and start to flesh out the team ahead of this next season. At any point in the video, if you laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel, share and retweet and all that good stuff. We are pushing for 10,000 before the new European season, and we can't do that without you guys. And let's just get stuck into it. Now, this Kvaratskhelia bid feels like it's kind of coming out of left field, because the latest I'd heard was Newcastle had to sell, had to get some money off their books for FFP reasons before they could start to bring new players in. And I seen a link a few days ago that Allan Saint Maximin was going to be was going to be pushed maybe towards moving to Saudi Arabia on a mega money deal so that Newcastle could financially fair play themselves up a level. And I know you guys are going to be mad as hell to hear about that, because he's loved and adored in Newcastle. He loves and adores Newcastle himself, and I don't think ASM is really on a rush to leave. But money talks, as we've seen, and you know, it's one of those ones where if the club have got bigger plans, move him on, get a wad of money in and go and get Cravadonna, then that does feel like some transfer business to pull off. Now, last time we were looking at the squads for Newcastle, we were thinking about other acquisitions that might have come in into the attacking positions and in midfield. But the way the team kind of sits at the moment, you might want to put Callum Wilson in the middle, put Isak out left. Some of you are telling me Joe Linton can play out left and maybe somebody else will play in midfield. And some of you were telling me to get rid of Almiron as well. But this seems to be somewhat would be, give or take, around about the best 11 for Newcastle next year. Kvaratskhelia was absolutely terrorising Serie A defences down this left-hand side in a formidable partnership with Victor Osimhen, who was just a penalty box target man, getting in on the end of the act. They did have great synergy and they did have fantastic link-up play throughout this season. And honestly, the skills, the pace and the execution that Kvaratskhelia showed this season for Napoli has been absolutely exceptional. He was the standout player of the tournament quite easily last year, and he is worth every penny of this price tag. Along with Sandro Tonali, Kieran Trippier, Sven Botman, and even Miguel Almiron. This is a kind of nice lineage of Newcastle signings of players that have been winning league titles, that have been winning domestic honours on their path to Newcastle, to St James's Park. And Kvaratskhelia being almost the messiah of Naples, the one-man wrecking ball, he's used to shouldering Naples on his back and carrying them to the title, you know. And Newcastle, I think you guys could probably, you know, financial things aside for the moment, but fan base and aspirations and all that kind of thing, you can probably draw a lot of parallels with Napoli, I would imagine. And equally, Kvaratskhelia feels like he would probably take to the tune like a duck to water, to be quite honest with you. I think this is a transfer that, if it is at all possible, Newcastle should be doing everything in their power to get Kvaratskhelia into this team. If financial fair play somehow you could do that, that looks like a great kind of front six alternation you could have for a top six team in England, a team that plays in the Champions League and is competitive in that kind of European stage as well. But yeah, maybe it does show that there's still maybe a wee lack of business to be done in midfield. And we mentioned Axel Disasi in the intro, who's one of these wonder kid defenders, right centre-back, can play a bit of right-sided, you know, defensive fullback, but right centre-back is his gig, and he's maybe a younger model, a kind of heir apparent to Fabian Schär as he maybe starts to kind of feel the age in his legs over the coming season. And Harvey Barnes, who I think in these kind of left attacking midfield positions especially, or even on the right hand side, he has got great legs to be able to carry the ball in transitions from defence to attack, and he knows good positions to pick up in the final third himself to link up with the attacking three as well as get some shots away for himself. And again, if Kvaratskhelia was to come into a team like this, he's used to having midfield support from the likes of Zielinski, Zambo Anguissa, Lobotka, Yilmaz, very good progressive midfielders that Newcastle seem to be. They could get Barnes in on top of this a lot they've got here, starting to pick up. Now, it is hard to imagine Barnes, Disasi and Kvaratskhelia all coming into this Newcastle team without there being some outgoings. And when you look across the squad, there's not much you would really want to sell that could be sold for a lot of money to kind of balance the books, as it were. So it's going to be really interesting to see what sort of financial gymnastics that Newcastle are going to be doing to try and pull this deal off. But make no mistake about it, the last player that really slaughtered Serie A the same way that Kvaratskhelia has was Mo Salah. Now, Mo Salah didn't go on and win any titles or anything, but he transitioned into the Premier League pretty monumentally. And in terms of like the stature of, I think the Tonali purchase is a huge addition, right? But when I'm seeing this lined up for Newcastle, this does feel a bit more like, and I know the Salah parallel was very striking and it's a very nice one to draw. But for me, in terms of persona in the team and aura, this feels like the Kevin De Bruyne purchase. The guy that's made his name on the continent, it's up and coming, sees himself as a future Ballon d'Or contender, sees himself as being a guy that will walk into the world elite and doesn't care what club it is. He's going to go to a club that's going to make him the main man and he's going to show everyone how good he is. That's the kind of feeling that I get with this signing if it's to pay off. I think it's wildly exciting for the Premier League competition as a whole. I think it really does level Newcastle up. But I want you guys to tell me, how likely is it? The last time we were on the videos, the two main points that you guys were going nuts about was about ASM, Allan Saint Maximin, and Almiron, who should be considered as a best 11 player on this tactics board, and I'm not really too bothered either way. But a lot of you guys made some very good, very valid points for and against on the goal ratios and the assists, so some great interactions there, and thanks to everyone that got involved in that. But the main one that a lot of you were going mental on was me saying Lukaku over Isak. Now, very similar to what I'm saying with Kvaratskhelia here, and the parallels I'm drawing with your guys like Botman, Trippier, Tonali. You're building a team, and it seems to be something that the talent ID department has already itemized as being nice to have detail on a lot of the player profiles that Newcastle have been linked to. As they've won a title, they are domestic champions, they've got across the line. And with Botman, Trippier, Tonali, Kvaratskhelia, they've all done it with underdogs. They've all done it, they've not done it with Bayern and Juventus and, Real Madrid or whatever. They've done it with Atletico Madrid, Lille, Napoli, teams that have had to really fight and grind and push their way and fight above their weight. And Lukaku scores goals in those teams in the Premier League, West Brom and Everton in particular. Newcastle and Chelsea, Man United and Chelsea, I beg your pardon, to one side. It is irrefutable, he scores goals, and even for Inter Milan, you've seen how vital he was there. And I know that's actually turned out to be quite funny with everything that's going on with him in Serie A with Juventus. And I take the point, he's not everyone's cup of tea, but it's more the profile, who would Newcastle look for? They would look for a striker that has won league titles, that has scored in the Premier League, a guy that will deliver. There's no two questions about it. I think Kvaratskhelia walks into that argument because he has elite talent, but outside of elite talent, the mega money transfers, you need to be cute and you need to find guys that have been there, done it, and can help you achieve the same thing, So I wouldn't write Lukaku off on any terms, and it was very interesting to hear some of your POV, and a lot of you seemed to run away when I mentioned this. I found that was quite funny. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm looking forward to catching the comments, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.